7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Everybody take a deep breath with me, okay? Woo-sa. Welcome to Football Friday. You're going to be hearing this a lot. Football Fridays are special here on the RP Show for a lot of reasons that I'll get into. We're coming at you on the Game Plus television network across Canada, 33 states in the U.S. Ironically, not Florida where I live, but we're working on it. And hour two, as you know, going to air across Nevada. Kevin the Medium joining us from the Hughes Sports Podcast in hour one and in hour two. I always like to call him Coach Mike Kelly, but he's actually Commissioner Mike Kelly of the Continental Football League, fabled CFL, NFL coach. And Darren Dupont will be with us in hour two as well. Kevin the Medium is with us. How are you, good sir?
I am doing amazing now that I've recovered from shoveling the snow.
You heard how I started this? Woo-sa. Hey, you're breaking your own New Year's. You said you wanted to bring all positivity into the new year, and you were swearing this morning to me on text with regards to snow.
Dude, only one thing I hate worse than snow, and that's shoveling that stuff.
Yeah, I get it. Well, hey, half a century spent in Canada, brother. Hey, I'll take the snow over the cold. How about they both suck? How about that? But anyways, as I say, trying to keep this positive as much as I can. The one thing, Kev, Football Friday is special. We're going to have a lot of fun here with Kev over the next 40 minutes. And then Mike Kelly, if there was ever a football guy, he's one. He'll be with us in hour two and Moose to talk about a variety of things. But let me just get into this right now. Point one, quick six show topics. Brad Marchand scored twice. Evan Rodriguez got the first shorthanded goal of his career, and the Florida Panthers dumped the Leafs 5-1 here last night at Sunrise. I was at the game, and it was a lot of fun. Connor McDavid secured his 9th 100-point season. The Oilers emphatically dumped the LA Kings 8-1 in LA. I didn't see that coming. Nazem Kadri scored 2 goals, and the Flames upset the San Jose Sharks 4-1 in their first game back after the Olympics. It was a very busy night. I picked 7 of 12 right. That's not great in the National Hockey League. But I just want to say this for the Leaf fans. And actually, I'll put it to you, too. I texted you our poll question just so you had some time to think about it. What is your top sports focus right now? Because we're all focused on a lot of different things. This is a sports show. This is a buffet. For me, it's hockey. But if you're a Leaf fan, like a Canucks fan, I think you're going to want to check out. Because the team has, so you might as well as a fan. They were so bad last night, Kev. I don't assume you watched it. You're not a Leaf or Panthers fan. Did you grace your screen at all?
No, it's bad enough I have to watch the Canucks. Why would I want to watch another team like the Canucks?
Yeah. I don't really know what to say other than it was a I'll just give you my synopsis because I get into the building based on the Rod Pedersen show. So here's your coverage. The Panthers were they were flying, man. They were flying. And I couldn't believe it because half their team was in the Olympics. You'd think they'd be tired. And then there's this narrative here this morning. It's like, oh, were the Panthers that good? And the Lightning the night before against Toronto? Or is it just because Toronto was that bad? And I'm like, well, that is a thing, but let's keep it positive. Let's keep it positive. And actually, with that, let's go right to I was going to bring up Kachuk skating around with the USA flag, but I don't want to ignite a border war. Not this early in the show anyways. So let me get into the poll question, which is, what is your sport? I'm actually really interested to hear yours. What's your top focus now and into the months ahead?
It's got to be hockey because there's nothing really else on. So hockey with it's funny because I'm starting to pay more attention to baseball. Now that I'm retired, I'm going to be able to watch a whole lot more games during the day, which is going to be exciting. Huh. And then, of course, football is still lingering in the background. But focus, of course, is still on hockey. I've got to pay attention to what the Canucks are doing for no other reason than the podcast that we do. But also because it's still my thing. I'm still a Canuck fan.
Yeah. Kevin the Medium with us from the Hughes Sports Podcast. Well, it's really interesting to hear you say that. And we got 40 minutes of all those things that you said, there's nothing else going on. Oh, I found them. But I said coming out of Super Bowl, that it didn't hit me until the Super Bowl was over. I'm like, oh, I hate this time of year because everybody fragments off into something else. A lot of people are saying, we're writing in, they're like, we're into curling. Spring training's on. You say, like, baseball is the ultimate seniors sport. Let's be honest. We went over to the Blue Jays and Red Sox in spring training last year, and I was the youngest person by 40 years in the ball. And I'm old in the ballpark in Fort Myers. But it is what it is, and that's exciting too. The NBA is exciting, man. I like the NBA, like, because you know me, I'm an adrenaline junkie. That has not changed. I like the action, the music, the lights. I like the NBA. I don't know what the hell's going on, but anyways, I want to point out that 70% so far of our poll is saying hockey. 70% hockey, and then it's a steep drop off to football, and that's the other thing is because we only have a couple minutes left in this segment, we'll actually get on track. Not that we're off track now, but I had my TV on NFL Network this morning, and I don't hate the combine. Like, will your television be on NFL Network at all this weekend?
No, probably not. To be honest, it's not something I'm going to follow. I don't follow college, so I don't know the players. So it would just be kind of staring at the TV blankly going, yeah, okay.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, and that's why I say Football Fridays are special, because it's the only day of the week that we will really get into football. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, it's not the NFL's fault that we find this boring. If you go back to trace the origin of it, I assume it's like the draft. The football guys are the same then as they are now. They still got to do the combine. So I'll bet you the TV networks were beating their door down going, hey, can we put a camera on this? And the football guys were probably like, why would you want to? It's not that exciting. You know, and it became a big deal for quite a while, and now it's not exciting anymore. Right? Things evolve and change, and, you know.
How many times can you watch someone run the 40? I mean, it's like okay. I like the interviews they do. I like when they get the young and up and comers interviews, but other than that, it's like, okay, yeah.
Well,
it's a nap time.
Right. But the guys that are covering this are the best of the best. I'm not going to say the NFL reporters are the best reporters in America, but they're at the top of their craft, and they figured it out. Yeah. They're not dumb. There's a lot of reporters there going, this, not only do the viewers find this boring, but I do too. But you know what? Here's Aaron Rodgers. Let's pull him on. Here's Hoffley, the new coach of the Dolphins. Let's pull him on. You know, so they're there, and they bring these guys on. All of a sudden, they make it interesting based on that. And that's probably what will hook me this morning a little bit. But as you say, you say there's nothing going on, but I'm going to prove you wrong. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little CFL, some more NFL. There's MLB. I just said all these things. But hockey's still number one, so that may come up today as well. Mike Kelly and Darren Moose Dupont joining us later in the program. Kevin and I will be right back after this on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
We don't ask much of you here other than to support our sponsors, if you don't mind. That would include heading to Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. If you're looking for lunch plans, head on over to Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Kevin, the medium, is here. We got questions for Kev. I'm looking at the poll. The early results say this. What's your top sports focus right now? Over 70%, that's pretty whopping, says hockey. And then it's fragmented behind that, behind football, baseball, and other. And there's really nothing going on in football, but we'll find it. We'll find that. I will say this, though, for the Leaf fans that have tuned in today, all you, not just Toronto viewers on Game Plus TV, but your team's bad. So try not to be too hard on. I was talking to the Toronto media last night, Kev, because it is a 3-ring circus when Toronto comes to town. Hi, Kev. Up here. Who are you texting? Your girlfriend?
I'm looking something up. Continue.
I'm teasing you, dude. But hey, I did talk to the Toronto media. It's a challenge. Covering that team is a challenge. That's all. I'm not going to say why or whom, but I don't envy those people. Covering the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's quite the market. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes and he says, hey, Kev, did the wind in Medicine Hat yesterday affect your reading?
I'm telling you, I have driven through wind before. Rod, you've experienced this, so you'll get this. I have a brand new car. It's a 2025. I'm driving down the road, and I am playing freaking dodging, what were they called? Tumbleweeds. These things were giant, Rod. These things, they were trying to hurt me. Holy, that wind. It was 100 miles an hour. I'm probably exaggerating just a little. But wow, it was windy.
Yeah, well, so you went there for a reading. For those that, whether it's tarot card or whatever they do, how did it go, Kev? They want to know.
Funny,
the viewers want to know.
A lady named Christy Emery, who, long story short, she's the reason Angela and I are together. Well, I'll tell you off air that story one day. Anyway, she did a reading that was absolutely phenomenal. She knew things she had no business knowing. And even doing what I do, I'm still amazed. I'm still going, how did you know that? Yeah, it was really, really good. If you're in Medicine Hat, look her up. She's amazing.
I love it. Okay, so to Football Friday, Couple of notes coming out of the combine. The Indianapolis Colts have given quarterback Anthony Richardson permission to find a trade partner. Indy believed Richardson could become its longtime franchise quarterback when I drafted him with the number 4 overall pick in 2023, but nothing has gone according to plan for the Colts, including the injury-plagued career of the former Florida star. And the New York Jets have agreed to trade pass rusher Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans for defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat. That's not why I'm laughing. I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a second. Johnson joins Titans coach Robert Saleh again. Saleh was the Jets coach when New York drafted Johnson in 2022. Tennessee drafted Sweat in the second round in 2024. So we kind of mentioned the combine earlier. Jason in Red Deer says, you two mentioned the combine more than Saskatchewan farmers, I think is what his quote was. Talking about the combine again. I think we talk more about combines than a Saskatchewan wheat farmer. Well, that's the thing when people say that football is their main focus right now. I kind of go, how? Literally how? There's not one league on the globe that's playing. But, back to this NFL combine that's on right now, I'm laughing because some of the reporters are talking about combine stories, and a photo was posted to Twitter of Tom Brady when he was in the combine at age 22, and he was like, can I buy Twitter and burn that photo? Because he had the dad bod. He's in better shape now, and he's almost 50 than he was at 22. Tom infamously didn't really work out a lot. Yeah, young time. But we, Kev, as in the Saskatchewan Roughriders under Chris Jones, every weekend he ran a combine. You and I have never really talked about this. All over America. Every single weekend. Yeah, have we talked about that?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Well, and that's where these stories are fun. Like the guys at the NFL combine that fizzed out, couldn't do a push-up or whatever. And I'll just tell you one story. We were in, let's say, Vero Beach, Florida or something. And when I say Jones ran a combine every weekend, he did. They're out clocking guys, running. They're doing bench reps. They're doing exactly what you see in the NFL combine. They would run their own every Saturday, Sunday, all over America. To be honest, I think Jones just liked to travel and have the team pay for it. Yeah, but one time we were over watching one group, and we heard this, that's not possible. And we all looked over, and there was a D tackle from Memphis. He was 350 pounds. I might have some of the details a little off, but he did a 48-inch vertical. Mike Jasper was his name. He had long dreads. He was the size of a Coke fridge. He did a 48-inch vertical, and Jones was like, that's not possible. Everybody ran over. Do it again. Do it again. But the thing is about the combine, who's Mike Jasper? Like, I don't even think he played it down to pro football. I think he's coaching now. So do you see, that's the one thing. I mean, you're more football guy than me. Let's tell the world. You're more football guy than me. Like, Do you see the benefit of the weights and measures that they're doing?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you've got to look at something. I think most of the time they probably have their decisions made prior to the combine, but it's good to see them under pressure. I think it would be cool if TSN or whoever gets the broadcasting rights coming up does even just like a half-hour show, an hour show every day of the combine and put some interviews. It doesn't have to be live. It could be canned and just do some interviews, because people like myself, we would watch that and we would get to know these up-and-comers. And when they hit the league, we might know who they are. Oh, yeah, I remember I saw him on – we do that with the NFL, do we not? Why can't we do it with the CFL? I will do it. Well, I'll do it for free.
What, cover it or do the interviews? Yeah.
I will do the interviews. I'll give it to them. Just air them.
Right. I'm going to tell you why I said take a deep breath. I saw the most incredibly nasty stuff posted online this morning by two separate friends of mine. They're at a war with each other, and it has to do with the topic of the day, and we all know really what that is. And I'm like, this is really bad. So my point is, let's have a show and have fun and escape that crap for at least a couple of hours. And when I say that, I want to put on everybody's comment as much as I can on the air here today. So Kirk in Toronto's watching, and he says, hey, Rod, happy I'm happy that Mad Max has re-signed with the Bluebirds. He's a competitor. Talking about Max Scherzer, and we discussed this yesterday, signing with the Blue Jays, a 1-year deal. Wayne in BC writes in. He says he's in Victoria. So we're like from Victoria to Toronto. We got it covered, and 40% of our audience on YouTube is U.S. For whatever reason, they seem to like what we talk about. Or maybe they like you and me, Kev. I don't know. But Wayne says, is hi, Rod, Kevin, and squad. I'm mostly following NHL right now, but as you know, I'm a CFL fan and really looking forward to this coming season. And that's why I said Football Fridays are special, because I'm not going to sit here and talk about the CFL Monday to Thursday in the winter. I'm not going to do it. I won't. But I'll talk about it on a Friday, and once Kevin adjourns, in 20 minutes' time, I'll talk about whatever the hell you want. If that's what people are into is the hockey, I'm cool with that. But I'll put this to you, because I saw you were just on the air with your show last night, the Hughes Sports Podcast. What is there in the CFL right now? I got some thoughts of my own, but I want to put it to you because you do a CFL podcast. What's the topics? What is there?
To be honest, there's very little CFL. We can't talk about the CFL just for the fact there's literally nothing happening. BC did sign somebody, and that's what I was trying to look up when I was down texting. And I can't, it was somebody from Winnipeg. BC signed him yesterday. I can't remember who it was because I'm old and forgetful. But the odd occasional signing, the combine coming up, really not a lot happening in the CFL that you could talk about on air.
Well, I'm actually happy that you said that. It's a smaller fraction that you can talk about that's positive. The only thing that I see CFL related is TSN. And you know who actually drew my attention to this was Luke Wilson with the tweet of the post, which has since been deleted by TSN, promoting all the upcoming exciting things from the Masters to the trade deadline to the baseball, and they didn't even mention the CFL season at all. And they carry the games, and it's got everybody up in arms. And I'm kind of sitting here going, I could sit this one out, but we are on Game Plus TV, and I was going to wave my Canadian flag, but I just knocked it on the floor. But when I say sit it out, it's like it's not positive. I can't speak for TSN. They're another rival network of ours. They ignore the TSN. So at Grey Cup, Angus Reid drops the poll results that the CFL's profile has never been lower in Canada. Less than 20% of Canadians identify as CFL fans. And I would sit here and go, that was November, December, January. What's been done about that?
That much. Like, they have such an opportunity. Even with the rule changes, they could have kept that going. At least it's a discussion about our league, right? Just discuss, give us something. I have sent out, I'm not going to say how many emails, but I have sent out numerous emails trying to get somebody from the league, from the CFLPA to come on the Hughes Sports Podcast. We're not huge. We're not on national television, but we have over 200 viewers watching live every single week. We can't even get a response. They don't even say no to us. So yeah, I try to keep it positive, Rod, but sometimes you've got to face facts, and it's just like, I keep saying that CFL keeps shooting themselves in the foot. They've now come up and they're starting to shoot themselves higher than the knee. I'm not going to go where.
Right. Walk it off. Well, that's all that I want to say. I mean, I'm sitting here every Friday. Last week, I talked about the Grey Cup betting odds, if you recall, or whatever was the last day that you were on. And I'm like, I'm trying, but I'm not going to sit here and do their marketing for them. I will not do it. Period. Well, and when you talk, go ahead.
Should they not be reaching out to you? Like, you have a national show. You could be putting a player on every single week, every Friday. So why would you want me on here when you could have a player or a coach or a GM on your show? It doesn't.
Okay. Hang on. Vancouver Eric writes in and he says, it's the off season, guys. I don't need CFL coverage 24/7. Your lips to our ears. Okay. So you don't want to talk about it? Then fine. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, the combine, the NFL combine, is akin to stupid human tricks. They don't do that in any other sport. Wrong. They do it in hockey, and that's why, why am I listening to Mike Florio every single morning? I do it almost daily. Mike Florio, I love him. That's why people are here every day. They love what we're talking about. So he's at the combine, and he's telling zany old combine stories because nobody cares who's there now, but they do it in the NHL. And that's the stories, like Sam Bennett of the Panthers, Conn Smythe Trophy winner, but he couldn't do one chin up at the NHL combine, and then he was ragged about it for years, and we found out afterwards that he was hurt. He was hurt, and he should have not participated. But Sam Bennett's the kind of guy that, well, if I don't participate, how's that going to look? So he goes in, he can't do a chin up. Everybody talks about that. And so anyways, there are stories that come out of these things, is my point, that are very entertaining. But you got to be really creative to be able to make it interesting. But anyways, we'll be back. Vancouver Eric says, bring on the UFL season. They were actually talking about their rule changes on ESPN the other day. So we do have a lot of things to talk about, and we'll continue it when we come back. Mike Kelly and Darren Dupont on the way as well here on Game Plus TV.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
We do the Junior Hockey Report daily. The Western Hockey League announced Winnipeg Jets prospect and Spokane Chiefs forward Owen Martin has been named WHL Player of the Week. Martin, an 18-year-old product of Oakbank, Manitoba, tallied 7 points and a +6 rating in 2 games as his Spokane Chiefs went 2-0 this past week. And Philip Ruzicka of the Brandon Wheat Kings has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. Ruzicka, a 17-year-old from Cheshire, went 1-0 with a 0.00 goals against average, including 1 shutty. Warriors home Saturday night to the Penticton Vees. Before or after the game, check out the Mad Greek Eatery. From classic to loaded, pizza night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. From the audience, they get a lot of comments here. Jason in Red Deer says, hey, the CFL not marketing is only half the issue. The other issue is there isn't really much to market in the offseason. Literally nothing is happening. LOL. Okay, fine. Cool. Then we won't talk about it. It's all good. Point 5. So, yep.
Can I push back? Can I push back on that? It's the NFL offseason. Does the NFL network go off the air in the offseason?
No.
Thank you. End of story. There is always something we can be talking about with the CFL if they would let us.
Yeah. Well, and actually, Shane in Deer Valley makes a really good point, and that's why this isn't meant in any way, shape, or form to dump on the CFL, because Shane in Deer Valley writes in, he says, it worked when a Joe came on this show before the Combine, and then I followed him along his journey. I'll never forget it. The guy's from Brooks, Alberta, and former Clemson Tiger, South Florida Bull. I don't even remember where he ended up his college career, but we all know him. Ended up going to the Rough Riders, then signing with the NFL's Colts. But the CFL was nice enough to put the players on from the Combine. It was amazing. And a Joe, well, I said to him, welcome to the show, a Jew. And he looks at me and goes, it's a Joe. Oh. And I, right? And I was like, this is how the players have changed. Because back in the day, they wouldn't correct the guy.
They would nod their head and smile.
Luke Molinder, my color commentator for a good number of years with the Rough Riders, I called him Luke Molinder for 3 years. His first 3 years of his career, he was too shy to correct me. You got my name wrong. Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure that's wrong, but I'll say this. I am covering teams a lot now, from the NHL level to WCBL. These kids are so lippy. These kids are so lippy. They're adults, and they're not kids. I'm just like, oh my God, how did we get here? Oh, yeah.
I think you were raised like down that rabbit hole.
Oh, you want to get lippy? Whack. That's the end of that. Okay,
yeah, pretty much.
Right. I think I'm done with this argument because I want to keep it positive. Kevin and I are on the same page, and that's why we're sitting here today talking at you out the yak box. Vancouver Eric writes in and says, it's the NFL, Kevin, the biggest sports league in the world. How do you think they got that way? Anyways, okay, never mind. I don't want to argue. I don't.
They weren't the biggest sports league in the world. The CFL used to be the biggest sports league in football. The NFL overtook them over the years. Why? Promoting. Not just during the season, in the off season. CFL, we don't do it as much. We need to do it more.
Yep. See? Take a breath, I said. This is slightly better than arguing about politics or the USA men's hockey team. Not much, but at least it's a sports show. I mean, that's sports too. But here's one that I've been waiting for 3 days to read. I've actually got it as point 5. I've skipped a couple points in the quick 6, but it's football. The Continental Football League is proud to announce the Indianapolis Capitals as the newest franchise in the Northern Division. And this isn't just another expansion announcement. This is a revival rooted in championship history. Indianapolis carries one of the strongest legacies in Continental Football League lore. The original Capitals became the final champions of the league's original era, winning the 1969 Continental Cup Championship in a dramatic sudden death overtime thriller. So the commissioner of that league, Mike Kelly, is coming on next hour. And I want to put this to you, Kev. I got you into the UFL because our viewers have gotten me into the UFL. They kicking and screaming. They've brought me in. I'm going to watch. Okay? Is the Continental Football League something that you will be, because I'm interested because my buddy's the commissioner, right? I'm going to be following it. And they're sending me their news releases and stuff. But will you get into it?
I will. And it's funny because as you were talking about it, Jake and I had actually talked about it during the Grey Cup, that we should watch the UFL. We should start watching the Continental just to see what they're doing in comparison to what the CFL is doing. We'll always be a CFL focused show, but it'll be cool to see the Continental Football League, the UFL, see how they go, see what they do with it.
Well, very interesting. And actually, we'll be discussing that with Mike Kelly next hour. I don't even know if they're going to have a television deal. We know that the UFL, I don't really understand. Well, I do and I don't. They're on ESPN. They're on Fox. They're on all the big networks. Yeah, and they're in prime time. They're Friday nights, Saturday afternoon. There's literally no excuse not to watch the UFL. So I don't really understand why it's been such an abject failure financially. The money they're losing is astronomical. At least the CFL has figured out how to lose money and stay alive, because they do. And I've seen from the inside. The UFL is it's averaging like $100 million a year. I don't get how the hell they're staying afloat, or who even owns this league, or why they're doing it.
That would be the question is why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brian writes, yeah, well, exactly. Well, okay. That's a good point. And Mike Kelly, when he joins us next hour, he's going to explain, because he's already come on the show and explained it once. They want to make it a stepping stone showcase for college players to get pro deals. It's a short league. They don't play a lot of games. They're going to travel by bus. They want to do it literally for the players, which I think is admirable. And I guess that's why the UFL is doing it too. I'm not totally sure. Brian writes in and he says, Football Fridays is perfect. There's not much going on in the offseason, but we CFL fans love to stay connected. Well, you're welcome, Brian, and you're welcome, CFL. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and says, I'll give the Continental Football League a chance, but I don't know just how invested I should get into it just yet. BW in Edmonton says, the CFL in the 1990s, the best ads with our balls are bigger. Oh, my God. I could sit here and tell stories forever, Kevin. You like that. The viewers all like that. It. Well, the guys all got T-shirts that said radically Canadian. Do you remember that? The players
Yes.
did. And I remember one time sitting at the Village Park Inn in Calgary. I was there with the Riders, 97. I wasn't even the voice of the team yet, but I was on the radio broadcast. We had a guy by the name of Ron Getz, a linebacker. He'd come to us from the NFL. He played for just a flipping beauty, man. And he was prancing around. We're radically Canadian. We're radically around the lobby of the hotel like this. Oh my God. I mean, I don't really miss it, but I sure had fun at the time, you know. And we couldn't figure out if he was like mocking it or if he was proud of it. But 30 years later, we still remember the slogan. Like our balls are bigger wouldn't pass anymore. You can't do that, right? But it was pretty cool at the time.
I loved our balls were bigger. I mean, I was at that age where that was just funny. It still is just funny. Our balls are bigger. I mean, how can you not run with that?
Well, nowadays, you know that you can't. But I guess sometimes, what do they say? The edgiest marketing slogans are the most memorable. And again, here we are 30 years later, still talking about it.
You go back and listen to some of the commercials from the late 80s, early 90s, and you're just like, how did that make the air?
Oh, don't even get me started on things that, Well, I just watch old classic movies now that they re-air. And I'm like, how is this still airing? Who cleared this? You know what I mean? But whatever. We're doing our little thing over here. We're doing our little thing over here on Game Plus. Okay, Kev, we're going to roll. What do you got on this weekend? 30 seconds. Make it quick. 10 seconds. What are you doing?
I'm not doing a whole lot this weekend. Getting back into doing more readings again. I took a hiatus from readings, and now I'm getting back into it and really busy. So it's going to be a good one.
Look him up. Kevin Hughes on Twitter. Cavalli Channeling. Thanks for the time, brother. Love you. Be good.
Love you. Talk to you next
week.
week.
We'll be right back after this on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the RP Show. Rod and the Rodettes with you. Mike Kelly coming up in hour 2, the commissioner of the Continental Football League, and Darren Moose DuPont, just to talk overall sports with Moose on a Football Friday here. And now it's just me and you till the top of the hour, so we can get into whatever you would like. Because it's a Football Friday, I'm allowing the talk of all things. NFL, the Combine, CFL, COFL, that's the Continental Football League, UFL. Wayne writes in, he says, hey, Rod, do you know what channels in Canada are covering the UFL? I don't know. I'm not the TV guide. Sports update. Well, and even before we do the sports update, the poll question today, let me just update this. I find it fascinating. And if you want to talk, if you people want to talk hockey, I'm here for it. I was at an NHL game last night, and I'll be there tonight. I got some stories coming out of that as well. What has your top sports focus right now? That's the poll question for EMJ Marketing, Keynote Speakers Bureau, EMJ Marketing. 72% say hockey. 13% say baseball. 8% say football. And 7% say other. So it kind of tells you it's called market research. Now, there are other things, as I say. How about this? Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. Curling's spotlight shifts from the Olympics to the Montana's Brier and St. John's, where Newfoundland and Labrador's Brad Gouchou begins his final run at a Canadian men's title. The 6-time champion opens against Quebec's Jean-Michel Menard, while Olympic gold medalist Brad Jacobs and his Team Canada rank face PEI's Tyler Smith. Gouchou is chasing a 7th Brier title in what he has said will be his last appearance at the national championship. U.S. Olympic gold medalist Connor Hellebuyck is expected to rejoin the Winnipeg Jets tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. I almost had a Freudian slip there and read, is rejected Connor Hellebuyck. I think he's dodged that. Hellebuyck, who made 41 saves in the Americans' 2-1 Olympic final win over Canada and was later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, did not dress in Wednesday's win in Vancouver. Winnipeg enters the game 9 points back of a Western Conference wildcard spot. And that is your sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Collectors, listen up. Hockey cards, autographs, and fan memorabilia, all at Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't wait. Shop ultimatefanzone.ca. So when I said I have some stories coming out of that game last night, let me just say this. I said I talked to the Leafs media. I'm going to tell you right now, the guy that said it's challenging covering the Leafs right now was not Steve Simmons, even though I did talk to Steve Simmons for a while. Everybody knows Steve Simmons, right? So I went up to him and I said, hey, congratulations, Steve, on your 40 years at the Sun. He's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. He goes, it was actually 38 years writing this column and 40 years here. And we kind of laughed. We had a chat, and which I'll get to in the story in a second. Because I said, Steve, were you ever in Calgary? He goes, yeah, 79 to 87. Why? And I said, well, I just remember reading you in the Calgary Sun when I went to school there. But that was after that. He goes, they're just picking up my Toronto Sun column probably. So we did, I like Steve Simmons. There's a lot of people that don't. He's old school writer, okay? And he ain't changing at this stage of the game. Here's my problem. So anyway, Steve has loved every year of his existence writing and covering the National Hockey League. And he's a huge CFL fan, just like me. So anyways, I go over and sit down in my spot. And I sit beside the Panthers E-Bug, emergency backup goalie. And we've gotten to be really good friends. So as we're talking about the game, Simmons comes over and he says, oh, hey, I had the numbers wrong. It was 36 years here, 38 years there, 40 years, but it's 46 years total in the business. I'm like, oh, thanks for clarifying. He goes, I'm getting old. I don't remember. And I said, hey, Steve, when young people ask you what is your secret for longevity, what do you tell them? Because I get it all the time. And he goes, I tell them to get a job at a place with a strong union so they can't get rid of you. And then he started laughing. He goes, what do you tell them? And I said, I tell them to show up every day and give your best. Apparently, nobody told them that. Anyways, on the game last night, Mark in Melfort writes in, he says, Willie Nylander looked like he was just putting in time last night against the Panthers. Mind you, most of the team was like that. Nylander, I at least noticed. He made some plays. The guy that stood out the most, and it's funny we say that because I'm sitting with Jeff. I didn't have a roster in front of me. I'm like, who's this number 2 for the Leafs? Who's number 2? And Jeff's like, Benoit. I'm like, he's a dirty, I won't swear. I swore that last night, but he's dirty. But at least he's trying. Joseph Wall looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but in the net in Sunrise, Florida last night for the Leafs. Tavares, I had to check the stat sheet to see if he played. They looked listless and checked out. They looked like the Vancouver Canucks when I saw them here. And I'm just sitting there going, Vancouver I expected from, not the Leafs. Checking out a little early, aren't we, boys? Bill writes in from the Queen City. He says, Rod, have you ever had Buck Martinez on the show? Yes, we have. A couple of times, Tabby. And I love Buck. I do remember, it was after the Jays, one of the years that the Jays got swept in a wild card series just a few years ago, whether it was the Seattle or Tampa. And I said, come on, Buck, you can't be happy with the season the Blue Jays. Oh, of course you can. Of course you can. They overachieved. I'm like, spoken like the true voice of a team. Just doing his job. That's why we all love Buck. Never say anything bad about your team. That's the one thing that I don't miss. And I don't know that I'll ever go back to being the voice of a team. I may not. I don't know. I'm okay either way. What I don't miss is, you're not telling it like it is. Nope. It's because I have a gun to my head that you can't see off camera. That if I say anything negative about this team, there's a very good chance I'll be fired. That's what you don't understand. So zip it. That's what all those guys and gals are dealing with, and it ain't fun. Jason in Red Deer writes, and he says, can't wait to see what Dupes is up to. About 5'9". We'll ask him. Well, Jason in Red Deer says, the odd thing about the Leafs checking out is they are only 8 points out of a playoff spot. I don't get it either, but here's the thing. Part of the reason why this show has been as successful and has longevity, especially in the Ontario market, is we're the only channel not talking about the Leafs. Everybody else is talking about the Leafs. So as I'll say again, my media friends last night said it's a challenge. And I'm not even going to go why, but I get it. Totally understand them, where they're coming from. As I said, 902-518-3033. Mike Kelly coming up next hour. David in Winnipeg writes in. David he says he's number one. There's an argument there's like 3 Daves in Winnipeg. And they all argue about number one. There's Dave 1, 2, and 3. 2 of them think they're number one. David, let's just say one of the Davids from Winnipeg writes in. He says, the UFL is on Fox. You'll get it on Fox in Canada. Why am I sitting here as the public relations arm for the UFL? I don't know, but I mean, I like those guys. Last I checked, Jim Popp, who is still the coolest man, I would say, in CFL history. He certainly was the coolest man in the CFL when he was in the league. I believe he's still got a personnel job in the UFL. But I remember with my youngest daughter, she was bilingual, and we used to always take her on a trip a year. We said, you could pick wherever you want to go on a road trip. Where do you want to go? And she said, Montreal. I'll try out my French. Awesome. And so she tagged along. We went to the news conference, Alouette's news conference, and she was right at my elbow. And Jim Popp literally pushed me out of the way to talk to my daughter. I think she was like 12. About everything. How do you like French? How do you like Montreal? What's the coolest thing that you've seen? What's the best restaurant you went to? What's the best food that you had? Who's your favorite Rough Rider? You got daughters, don't you, Jim? I could tell right away. He's just, he's such a great guy. I haven't heard from him for a while. That's all I'll say. I'll say this. After I left the CFL, in terms of working on a daily role, day-to-day basis with the Rough Rider, my phone started ringing by people that I never thought even knew had my number, let alone people that I thought hated me. Oh, I thought you hated me. No, you're just not the Rider guy anymore, so we can talk. Jim was one. 902-518-3033. I feel like we covered a lot of what we wanted to this hour. We are going to the USA next hour, Nevada. We'll hear one. The Toronto Blue Jays, 0.4, continue Grapefruit League action today against the Tampa Bay Rays in Port Charlotte, Florida. Tabby. Left-hander Eric Lauer scheduled to start for Toronto opposite Tampa Bay righty Ryan Pepio. Jays open the regular season March 27th at home against the Athletics. So a smattering of what's going on. I want to remind you, the poll question today is what's your top focus for sports? And they're saying hockey. I can tell you right now, they're saying hockey. And to be honest, for the Nevada viewers next hour, my guess, I'm sure they're going to say hockey there too because their football team's terrible. Although Fernando Mendoza, the number one pick in the NFL draft, the Raiders have it. He stepped up to the podium today at the Combine, and he looks good. He looks good on the field. He looks good off the field. So maybe there is some excitement with the Raiders. Maybe he's the next one. We'll talk about that and everything else under the sun because Mike Kelly can do it. Former Redskins scout, Eagles quarterbacks coach, vaunted Winnipeg and Edmonton coach. That's all coming up after this break.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Well, I got to tell you, it's really odd. Incredibly odd. Today's show is going exactly the way I'd hoped. I'm talking about content and reaction from the viewers. So we've got a theme today. It's Hour 2 on Game Plus TV, Hour 1 on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. We welcome our Nevada viewers. I'll just say this. It's Friday. I've been ready for the weekend since Tuesday with all the zaniness of what's going on out there. And you know what I'm talking about. And I've done my best to stay off social media because it's too much. If I had a white flag, I'd wave it. And I saw a couple of my good friends today. Diametrically opposed views on things, just going for the throat on each other. I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. I don't want this. I don't want it on my radar. I just sure as hell don't want it on my show. So we're all about friendship here. We're all about inclusion, broad-mindedness, and our guest today covers all those things. Mike Kelly will be with us, the commissioner of the Continental Football League, but formerly the quarterbacks coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, front office man with the Washington Redskins when they were called that in the NFL, offensive coordinator in the CFL with Winnipeg and Edmonton, and head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Mike Kelly is coming up in the next segment, and Deke Man is watching on YouTube. We're also streaming on YouTube. I don't mention that enough. And also WQVZ Radio in the U.S. South. Deke Man writes in, he says, sending love to you, Roddy, and same as Mike. Get Mike to share some Eagles stories from Veterans Stadium. Sure. Okay. I have a sense that I know who Deke Man is, but I'm not gonna. Is that you, Cam? Is that you, Cam? Well, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, we're looking forward to Coach Mike Kelly joining us in the next segment. Okay, so let's get down to business on this Football Friday. Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg. He says, good move by Dallas to franchise tag Pickens. I had that as my second point, but I'll move it up. I'll bump it up in the order to the first. The Dallas Cowboys have placed the franchise tag on George Pickens, a move that could guarantee the receiver nearly $30 million in 2026 while the sides work out a new long-term contract. The Cowboys had been expected to use the tag on Pickens since last fall when he began to flourish in his breakout 2025 season. He was coming off a trade from Pittsburgh where his career got off to a rocky start. The one-year tender under the tag is projected to be $28.8 million for a receiver. The deadline for a long-term deal is July 15th. It is a Football Friday, so I have zero problems to talking about this, and they are my team, after all, the Dallas Cowboys. So you want as many good players as you can get. That ain't rocket science. And I'm sitting there watching George Pickens going, clearly he is our best receiver. He's playing like our best receiver. CeeDee Lamb probably should be better, but he's just not for whatever reason. And it's a step in the right direction. It's a good move by the Dallas Cowboys. Jeremy, you just said it perfectly. It is. But as I've been following this coverage out of Indianapolis with the NFL Combine this week, and I'm so glad that I put that poll question up. It was like Tuesday. I'm like, are you going to be following the Combine? 84% of people said no. And I feel like as we've now hit the weekend, the number's probably a little higher. But it's not about the underwear Olympics that's got people excited. It's the personalities of the league. Well, the management types are there and the coaches, and they're doing business, like Pickens being signed. But one of the commentators that I heard on NBC Sports Radio, can't remember her name, and it's not like I didn't know this, but she reminded us all that the Cowboys had an historically bad defensive season. Gave up the most points in Cowboys history in a season. So, yeah, offense sells tickets. Offense makes all-stars. Defense wins championships. So let's just not forget the golden rule. Okay, fix the defense, Jerry. They still want us to, conveniently forget getting rid of Micah Parsons. Okay. Point two, and I'll preface that by saying our poll question today is, what's your top sports focus right now? I said on this program, as soon as the Super Bowl ended, I don't really like it. There's a few things that I don't like. I don't like when news and sports intersect. That's my number one thing. I don't like that at all. And number two, I don't like when the football season ends because all of a sudden everybody runs off in a bunch of different directions. And you can look at that in a variety of ways. I like to look at it as a silver lining thing. It certainly gives us a hell of a lot of stuff to talk about. But that's our poll question today. What's your top sports focus right now? and running away with the result is 72% saying hockey is their top focus. So that's what I got as my number 2 point here. And then it's like, what did I say earlier? 13% baseball, 8% football, and whatever the rest is other. For the Canadian viewers, the Briers starting tonight. I got a heartwarming Blue Jays story here. Golf's going on. It's a lot. Can we bring back football? But Mike Kelly's going to join us next segment to talk about that. And by the way, Darren Moose DuPont's going to join us as well. And we'll probably talk about the Leafs because, again, we're on point 2 of the Quick Six show topics. Brad Marchand scored twice. Evan Rodrigues got the first shorthanded goal of his career and added an assist. And the Florida Panthers resumed their playoff push with a 5-1 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs Thursday night here in Sunrise. I was at the game. And by the way, before you jump up my ass about saying Rodrigues, I talked to him about that. He goes by Rodriguez or Rodrigues. He's from Etobicoke, Ontario. And I said to him, some people call you Rodrigues. He goes, well, that is the proper pronunciation, Portuguese pronunciation of my surname, but I go by both. Okay. Hell of a goal by him. And what the story doesn't tell you for the Associated Press is, from the Associated Press where I stole this, was that Marchand, he scored twice. One of those was into an empty net, but probably about 30 seconds before he scored that, he was all alone and hit the post of an empty net. And I was sitting beside the Panthers emergency backup goalie, and I said, he'll get another shot at it. Play went down the ice. He turned and fired it 175 feet into an empty net. That ain't easy to do unless you practice it 20,000 times like Brad Marchand probably has. So it was a fun night to be in the rink. For the Leafs fans, sorry about your luck. The team's awful. And to the degree that I sat there watching them going, this is an insult to the uniform. They weren't any better the night before in Tampa Bay. I watched that one on television. This one I saw with my own eyes. I'm not going to name any names. I kind of did last hour. But oh my God. All I will say is, when you're burning, when you're running through the streets with your torches and pitchforks, will you please remember that the general manager, Brad Treliving, and the head coach, Craig Berube, are not responsible for the sins of coaching and management going back to 1967. It reminds me of, and Mike Kelly is joining us next, when the Mike O'Shea, Kyle Walters regime took over in Winnipeg, and whenever they took over, and everybody was ready to tie a can to them because they had a Grey Cup drought going back to 1990. I remember saying, well, actually, it wasn't me. I can't take credit for this. It was Troy Westwood, the former Bomber kicker turned media guy, who said, it's not these guys' fault. This team has sucked since 1990. I don't know if people even hear that, but it just feels nice to say out loud. Connor McDavid secured his 9th 100-point season with a goal and an assist. Leon Draisaitl had a goal and 3 assists. And the Edmonton Oilers earned an 8-1 victory over the LA Kings Thursday night. McDavid scored his 35th goal, and Draisaitl got his 30th as Edmonton snapped a 4-game slide. And Nazem Kadri scored 2 goals, and the Calgary Flames beat the San Jose Sharks 4-1 in the first game back from the Olympic break for both teams. That's just like 3 games of the 12-game slate last night. I went 6-6 in my picks for Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Yeah, that sucks. I was out of the money when it came to NHL picks last night. We'll make our picks later on tonight. The Golden Knights are on the road for the Nevada viewers. Vegas is at Washington tonight, part of a 4-game slate. Buffalo's here at Sunrise. Happy guy. Visiting the Florida Panthers. Minnesota's at Utah. And Winnipeg is at Anaheim. Again, 4 games tonight in the NHL. We'll make our picks later for Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Where's John Ohm today, by the way? On cue, speaking of that. As I mentioned, Football Friday is special. We got a lot of football. No, we spent almost the entire first hour on football, just so you all know. I seem a party has broken out here in the YouTube chat, and I'm late to the party here. I have literally no idea what they're talking about. Yeah. Well, Jeremy he's picking up on what I was saying earlier, how the social media has really, really ruined things for me. It really, you know where I've noticed it a lot was the Olympics. It just with the fake news. It's one thing to have the people sniping back and forth. That's just distasteful too. But I'm sitting there last night again with the Panthers E-Bug, emergency backup goalie, and I turned to him and I said, I saw on Twitter somewhere that Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk were hurt in the Olympics and they're not going to play again. Oh, they're out here right now. Like this whole idea of not knowing what to believe, that's bad too. And the fighting and all the rest. So Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg and says, I miss the days where something happened in a game, you talked with friends and family, never had the toxicity of the online world. Miss those days. It was way more positive back then. That really came into my conscience while watching The Last Dance on the Michael Jordan story. Because in the 90s, and Coach Kelly, if he's logged in yet, I'm not sure if he can. Any of you can remember, if you're old enough, the Bulls, Trailblazer Wars, Supersonics. I mean, I was traveling out to the West Coast back then with the hockey team I worked for, went to those games, and you weren't expected to be an expert on social media. You could just enjoy the games. And if you said something on air, you didn't have 18,000 people jumping down your throat. Yeah. We could not have a Twitter account. How about that? That's the alternative. Those are very happy people that do that. Again, they're having their own party here. I'm going to stay out of that. 902-518-3033. We had a brief CFL discussion. There are a lot of CFL fans that watch this show, not only in Canada on Game Plus TV, but in Vegas. Right, Harley? Even some CFL alumni that are watching down there. There's just not a whole hell of a lot going on right now. And by the way, speaking of all of that, I'm just going to throw this out there. Steve Simmons from the Toronto Sun came over because I congratulated him on his 40 years at the Sun. And he came over. He said, I got to correct that. I'm 46 years in the business, 38 doing that. I'm okay, good. He goes, I'm old. I'm like, fine. I just loved his writing. I like his style. He's old school. And so the Panthers E-Bug goalie turned to me and he's like, how long have you been in the business? And I was like, I had to do the math. I said, I started in 1988 when I was 16 years of age. So whatever that is. He's like, that's 38 years. I'm like, what? 38 years. He goes, I was born in 1996. Kid's going to be 30 this year. Literally been doing it longer than he's been alive. Doesn't feel like it. I said, oh my God. It's happened. I said, the last time I even looked it up, it was 36 years. Now it's 38. And John Lynch, the Hall of Fame broadcaster, former voice of the Rough Riders. I said to him once, we used to say, he was like my surrogate dad. Him and my dad graduated together, high school, same class. 1955, Luther College. And that's the imitation of John, not my dad. But I said to him once, we were sitting around having a lemonade at his palatial South Regina estate. And I said, Frenzy, you ever lose track of years? And he goes, oh, you better believe it. Sooner or later, it comes to pass that you lose decades. I feel like that's right around the corner. Anyways, back on tap. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the different. I don't feel like getting in. I'm reading the comments from the viewers, and I'm not getting into the differences between NFL, CFL, staying relevant in the off season. But there's news coming out of the combine in Indy. The Colts have given quarterback Anthony Richardson permission to find a trade partner. Indy believed Richardson could become their long-term franchise quarterback of the future when they drafted him in number 4 overall back in 2023. But injuries have derailed that. And did he not take himself out of a game a couple of years ago? That's a no-no. Meanwhile, the New York Jets have agreed to trade pass rusher Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans for defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat. Johnson joins Titans coach Robert Saleh again. Saleh was the Jets coach when New York drafted Johnson in 2022. Tennessee drafted Sweat in the second round in 2024. So that's all going on during the combine, and in the background, they're performing the drills and the tests and everything. And maybe what I'm enjoying is the combine stories. And I'm guessing Mike Kelly will have a few of those when he joins us next. And the viewers have already prepped us for some questions they have for Coach Mike Kelly. And that's the thing. If you can have a combine, mix in some stories of combines past and make it entertaining, I think we're all there for that. So we'll do that. And we'll push the rest to later on. Darren Moose DuPont coming up. We're brought to you in part by Vegas.com. Save 50% or more on the best Vegas shows this week, like Piano Man, a tribute show to Elton John and Billy Joel. Also, Zombie Burlesque and The Vegas Show. Get your tickets today at Vegas.com. We'll get to that Max Scherzer story later as well. When we come back, a football man's football man, Mike Kelly, the commissioner of the Continental Football League, will join us, former Eagles quarterbacks coach, Redskins front office guy, longtime CFL coach. You're watching across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and across Canada and 33 U.S. states here on the Game Plus TV network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
I'll remind your fans to sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. It drops every Sunday. It's free, and you can do so at rodpeterson.com. Brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Okay, we got the commissioner with us, Commissioner Mike Kelly. Hey, Coach. Hey, time flies when you and I get together, so I'm going to jump right into it. The NFL Combine is on. Yeah. You got some good Combine stories from years gone by in any variety of league, NFL, CFL, or otherwise?
I first went to the Combine with Cal Murphy, and he knew everybody. So I was his little minion that he was introducing me to, and that was a huge benefit for me. But the story that I've got is that when I was actually preparing and representing NFL players, and we had a player that was projected to go in the third round, good defensive interior lineman out of the Southeast Conference, and we were training him in Houston, and the kid would work his tail. He did a great job. And but then as soon as he'd come home, he'd guzzle a bottle of white wine and smoke a joint. And I kept telling him, man, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop. They're going to test you. And he's like, oh, no, man, we pass the tests all the time at such and such a school. And I said, well, this is the NFL. This is a different deal now. And so we get to the Combine. He was projected to be a third-round pick. He had discarded all of our advice about what to do with his money, give him a bridge loan, get a car that's going to be sensible for right now. Discarded all of our advice, went and got a $50,000 loan, bought a Land Rover that was way out of his wheelhouse. Anyhow, he tests positive. And that was the final straw for me. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm telling guys what they need to do, how to do it, and then they're going to go do their own thing. Well, he ends up being an undrafted free agent, and his signing bonus was $5,000. But now he's settled with a $50,000 loan. He bought this Range Rover that was black that he wrapped in red, and now it looked like a big can of tomato soup. And it was just I couldn't stand the city of it. And it just so happened that the day that he tested positive, and I'm losing my mind, one of my oldest and dearest friends, who was the president at Widener University, called me and said, do you want this head coaching job here? And I said, yes. I got on a plane in Indianapolis, flew to Louisiana, got in a car, and I drove to Philadelphia. And that was the last time I represented players.
Oh, man. Is there a lesson there? And your story's triggered 18 of mine, but you're the guest. I'll tell them later. So, yeah, that's players are going to do what players are going to do. Well, listen, you're here as the commissioner of the Continental Football League. You've had some announcements. Indianapolis got a team. Jerry Glanville has joined the San Antonio Toros franchise. So give me your Continental Football League pitch. What's the latest?
We also put a team in Detroit. We revitalized an original team called the Michigan Arrows, and we hired Steve Kaiser as the head coach. If you look him up, his background's unbelievable. In the NFL a long, long time. Won a Super Bowl ring with the Chicago Bears in 1985. Was the general manager this past year in the UFL for the Michigan Panthers. Coached in the CFL back years and years ago. So he's taken over the Michigan franchise. We got Hal Mummy, the godfather of the air raid offense, if you will. He's going to be the head coach in Indianapolis. And we've got some conversations still going on with another group, but we got about half a dozen groups that are lined up for 2027. So it's fast and furious right now, looking for sponsorships, securing stadiums. So there's an awful lot going on. I'm supposed to be retired. My first Social Security check comes in March, and I'm probably working as much as I ever have. So it's been a really interesting process, though, in terms of the business of sport to actually revitalize the league and get it up and running.
I'm sorry to tell you, Coach, but guys like us, my dad was one of us. He worked in the NHL till he was 76. You're going to go in the grave working. So I'm sorry to tell you, that's what you have to look forward to.
Goody.
Yeah. Our viewers, they're getting into the Continental Football League. I'd like to think I'm pushing them that way. So just back up a little bit and just tell them where they can follow the league.
Okay, we're redoing our website right now. It should be all revamped by March 1st. But they can go to COFLfootball.com. and that'll get you to the main website. And then each team is going to have their own link into their particular club. But that's the easiest way to do it. COFL. We can't use CFL. And it's got to be COFL, football.com. That'll get you to the website.
Okay. Well, BW in Edmonton writes in. He says, Mr. Commissioner, is there? Hey, by the way, how is that? How is that being a commissioner?
That's weird. You know what? Yeah, I'm having fun with it, but I always tell people, please just call me Mike. You know, they'll address me as Mr. Commissioner and all that. Mike is good. I'm good with Mike.
Must be nice having this much power, though. But BW says, is there a working agreement to push COFL players to the CFL? And is there going to be games shown online, streaming like YouTube or Rumble? Thanks. Signed, BW.
Yes, we're working out a streaming arrangement right now out of Texas, and then also in the Midwest, because we have teams in Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. That it will be gone. It'll go to a main server and then dispersed across the country. And we're putting together packages. Do you buy a whole season? Can you buy single games? And that's part of our pitch also with sponsorship, is going into some bars and making sure that they always have our games up. But what I want people to understand is this is the first real attempt at minor league football. I want you to think of AA baseball. Young, hungry guys that haven't really developed yet or had their opportunity to play at the next level. And so we absolutely are here to promote guys to go to the Canadian Football League, to go to the National Football League. These guys are not going to be on contracts. They're going to be on marketing agreements, which is the same as the name, image, and likeness in the NCAA. And over 40% of the kids that go into the transfer portal end up not going anywhere. They lose their scholarship. They don't have a place to play. And so this gives them an opportunity to come play for us, get more film, and you're still eligible to go back to the NCAA and play. So we're really looking to create opportunity for underserved players and underserved communities. We're going into smaller, I know we're saying Detroit and Indianapolis, but we're really out in the outskirts in smaller stadiums, so it's a cozier feeling and really get the fans to know who these players are. So yes, we're thinking ourselves as a minor league that will promote players to the Canadian Football League and the National Football League.
Well, here's another one. You mentioned the people you're getting involved. I got the news release that Jerry Glanville is going to be the defensive coordinator of San Antonio. You got our viewers. As soon as I said his name, our viewers all perked up. They know who he is. So talk about him a little bit, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, and I was on the phone with him yesterday for an hour. He is an absolute character for his age, but he's a legendary football coach. And he just loves to coach, and he's living in Northwest Ohio right now, which is his hometown, and but he's ready to go down to San Antonio and run the defense down there. And we talked about everything yesterday, X's and O's. He coached with June Jones with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and so there's a lot of synergy here. But the thing that's most gratifying for me, honestly, Rod, is that we've got a vision. We've been able to articulate that vision, and we have people buying into it. And to me, that's what leadership is all about. And to have guys like Jerry Glanville say, yeah, I want to be a part of this, and Steve Kaiser and Hal Mummy, and this is all. It's humbling, but it's pretty impressive also that we're able to attract these kind of people to come revitalize this once legendary league.
Very special. By the way, Arlen Bruce is watching. He writes in, he says, bro, I've heard so many great stories about this man, Mike Kelly, and Cal Murphy. Never met him. Good luck, Commish. You might want to keep your eye on his kid, Arlen Bruce the fourth. Are you still, he's starring in the IFL right now, the Indoor Football League, but are you actively recruiting players, or are the rosters set right now?
Oh, no, we're actively recruiting. Each team will bring 50 players into camp, and then we'll keep 40 for the season. And, as I talk with player personnel people in both the CFL and the NFL, playing indoors, it's a nice thing. You're continuing to play, but it's hard for the outdoor people to really evaluate. You see a linebacker that really seems to be moving well, but then he runs into a wall. Can he really extend himself all the way out to the numbers? You can't tell that because the guy's playing on a hockey rink. And so it's not a great place to really get seen. Now, obviously, Kurt Warner is the aberration of all of it, but it's not a great place for positional players to get seen because you can't really see what they can do in the open field. In our league, we're going to play on a U.S.-sized field, but we're also going to be playing the fourth quarter with CFL modified rules. So we're going to have motion. We're going to have a yard off the ball. We're going to go to 3 downs. We're going to have the rouge. We're going to move the clock to 20 seconds because I don't want to hear about that 35-second stuff that they're changing now. That's not CFL football to me. We're going 20 seconds, and you're going to go fast, and we're going to get after it. And that's what the fourth quarter will be. We're calling it the Continental shift. So guys will be able to be seen in NFL rules and also in CFL rules, and I think it will open up more opportunity for people.
That's amazing. One more Continental Football League question before I turn it over. They have some NFL questions for you, but Carlos in Indianapolis says, I'm cautiously enthusiastic about this league. I hope it doesn't fall apart after a few seasons like so many others. After all, why get overly into something that soon flops? They've had their heart broken, Coach. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
And we get the same thing in San Antonio, because they've had so many teams go in and out of there. You can go back to when CFL expanded with the Texans. And, the thing is, we don't have that high overhead that all these other leagues have tried. You have a yearly buy-in that's very, very reasonable. It's only 5 figures. We're not asking people for $1 million so that they're getting themselves so spread that they can't operate. And the other thing that everybody needs to understand is that if he's worried about the team leaving, buy stock in it. We're selling part of the ownership to fans, just like the Green Bay Packers do, and we're registered with the Security and Stock Exchange, and so that you can actually make money off of buying into the club. So if he's afraid of a team leaving, buy into it. Get your friends to buy into it and actually own part of the team so they don't leave. But we don't have big overhead. We're on 2-3 hour bus rides to our opponent. You play the game, you bus ride home. No flights, no hotels. Our costs are minimal. It's a much more sustainable model than what these other leagues have tried to do, and in trying to mimic themselves after the NFL or the CFL for that matter. We're not doing that. We're minor league baseball. Keep that in mind.
So, as I say, speaking of that, CFL, NFL, viewer Deke Man wants to know your best Veteran Stadium story in your time with the Eagles.
Oh, well, first of all, there's so many of them. There used to be stuff that leaked out of the walls there that we didn't know what the substance was. It's just leaking out of the walls. We would have meals there, and it had drop ceilings, and we could hear the cats chasing the rats, or vice versa, because they were about the same size. And so you had all this food laid out, and all of a sudden this dust would just fall down out of the ceiling into the food. But in terms of the game, we were getting ready to play the Baltimore Ravens in the preseason. And, the Philadelphia Phillies used to also play in the Vet. And the grounds crew didn't prepare the cutouts around the bases properly. They just laid down the carpet like you put on the front porch of your grandma's house. They just laid it over it. And so where everybody's there, the television, the crews are there, everybody's out on the field, and the players are coming out and going, what is this? We're not playing on that, because you actually could just take your foot and move the carpet. So imagine if you're full speed trying to make a cut, and all of a sudden the field comes out from underneath you. And we had the officials look at it. We had, people from the Eagles organization down, the people that ran the Vet, and we had to call the game. So people were already coming into the stands. The parking lot, we had tailgate going. The players are dressed, and we had to cancel the game. So that was you don't see that very often.
Oh, my God, that's a last resort for the NFL.
Yeah.
What's worse, Veteran Stadium or Winnipeg Stadium? Canadian Stadium. I hear Bob Irving's voice echoing in my head. Canadian Stadium or Veteran Stadium?
Veteran Stadium, without question. And that play at one time, obviously in the '80s, that was a model facility. That's what everybody was building. Pittsburgh had it, Cincinnati had it. It was a cookie cutter type deal. But you're never ever going to get me to say anything bad about the old stadium in Winnipeg. That's just not going to happen. That's, to me, that's my home.
How about Rider fans then? Who is harsher, Eagles fans or Rider fans?
In terms of harshness, they're pretty equal. In terms of nastiness, I got to go with Philadelphia. And it's just, but the atmosphere in Regina is just so awesome. I just never forget it. I love the rivalry. And honestly, even when we had teams that were 14-4, 13-5 in Winnipeg, we never played well there. Never, ever. And we probably had a losing record in Regina. But the fans were so passionate, but they weren't over the top. They weren't abusive. They were just harsh, and they were supporting their team. In Philadelphia, I'm with the Redskins, and I'm telling Coach Spurrier, look, this is different. You're going to have a silent cadence. You're going to have to go fast. And he's like, oh, Mike, we've been in, we were in Death Valley, and we've been in the pit. And, just start saying, I'm saying, Coach, I'm telling you, this is different. So the day we're driving in, we spent the night in downtown Philadelphia. We're on the bus coming into the new stadium, into the Link. And as we're pulling in, there's thousands of fans that are already there tailgating, and they're running towards the bus with their middle fingers up, and the fathers are signaling their sons, come on, son, and they got their middle fingers up. And I'm sitting right behind Coach Spurrier, and he's like, well, I'll be damned. And I said, well, Coach, I told you this is going to be a different place. And so we go and we play the game, and the Eagles absolutely hand us our hat. And after the game, the owner and Spurrier, they're all just like, what happened? And I'm shaking my head. I told you what this was going to be like. But they thought that they knew better. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with harshness equal, nastiness, Philadelphia.
We have a minute left. Rich in Edmonton writes in. He says, I'm sorry I missed the start of the interview. Where is Coach Kelly? It looks like South Florida. I need to go back there. Tell the folks.
I am sitting on the very southern tip of Hutchinson Island in southeast Florida. It takes about maybe a half hour to 40 minutes to get to West Palm Beach Airport. And I've been living down here for almost 7 years now. My mom's been here since 1996. And it's just an absolute beautiful part of the world. You're not going to get me out of here. It's 27 here today, Celsius. And I just got back on Monday from Calgary, and I was just I was shaking just from the house to the airport. I was like, I got to get back to Florida.
You understand what I'm saying when I say it looks beautiful, but we got alligators, we got mosquitoes the size of pterodactyls, man. You don't want to come here. Just leave it.
Nobody come here. This is horrible. Don't come here. No.
Mike and I got it handled. Okay, we'll just do our thing. Okay,
we'll
Coach.
Suffer.
Yeah, great job. Keep in touch. Whatever you need, let me know.
All right. Enjoy your interview with Coach Glanville whenever you get that situated.
We'll get it done.
Right.
I cannot wait. Commissioner, thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks once
Commissioner
again.
Mike
Take care.
Kelly.
Bye-bye.
Same to you. Continental Football League Commissioner, Coach Mike Kelly. You always be coach to me. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Our P show continues, brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications. Does your message stand out? We make sure it does. We craft bold strategy, sharp leadership training, and content that makes people lean in and listen. Check them out at TonyPlater.com. The Moose is with us by popular request. I ain't lying. Moose, hey, it's a Football Friday. Our poll question today is, what's your top sports focus right now? By sport. Hockey, football, baseball. As a fan, you're working in the business now, so that aside, as a fan, what is your number one top focus right now?
Hockey, and then football.
Hockey, and then football. I'm quoting you directly. You're really into
Yes.
hockey. 72% agree with you, by the way. So let's jump into that. What's your take here at post-Olympics?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm wondering the Olympic hangover. I'm seeing, obviously trade deadline is looming, and that is a big focus. What are teams going to do, right? And obviously, my focus here is mostly on the Canadian teams coming back from the break, and also in your neck of the woods, right? You talk about teams like Toronto and Florida garnering a ton of attention. Can they get into the playoffs, or should they be selling, or looking ahead to next year? And, it's probably a long shot that the two of them get in. It'd be really tough. And then obviously Tampa's just rolling like crazy. But then the Crosby injury, what happens to teams that are getting players back from the Olympics, and how do they do? We've seen the last Olympic cycle, how there's a drop off on those teams when you get guys back from the Olympics, because it takes a lot out of you. So it's a very intriguing time of year in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I'll tell you what, you're sitting there in Mississauga, Ontario, at DuPont Media World headquarters, and I'm wondering if you've peeked your head outside and seen what they're saying about the Leafs, or if you've said anything online. I was quite disappointed with what I saw last night here in Sunrise. They lost 5-1, got pumped by the Panthers. I don't know if you caught any of the game or not.
Yeah, and it was a better effort actually in Tampa, where they skated with Tampa pretty well. Came out on the wrong side of that. Look, the Leafs aren't going to be a playoff team this year. I think what you're seeing in this market is you're seeing, we're still early enough, and you're at the trade deadline where there's hope. And whenever you have a roster full of skill, which like the Leafs have skill on the roster, Panthers have skill on their roster, teams that are outside the playoffs, if you get in, anything can happen when you have skill, right? When you're a good team that's underperforming pretty bad. But look, the Leafs aren't going to be a playoff team. So you're going to have to make some hard choices and look ahead to next year. I don't know that the fan base is necessarily ready to get there yet, but they're going to have to get on board with that pretty quickly.
It's unbelievable. You're talking about the Leafs, but you could have been talking about the Dallas Cowboys, who put the franchise tag on George Pickens today. You follow in the news came out of the combine. The Cowboys people are obviously there. Are you following the NFL combine?
Yeah, it's garnering, and the draft is garnering a ton of attention right now on my radar as kind of number 2 behind hockey. Look, I saw your boy, right? Dan Orlovsky is your guy. I like Dan Orlovsky. And he said the Dallas Cowboys are really just a couple of good defensive pieces away from legitimately contending. He's really bullish on the Dallas Cowboys if they can add at the draft and make a couple of key moves. I don't know. I mean, I'm loving the optimism around my Tennessee Titans, especially with the new coach and Robert Saleh, and then Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator and what they're going to do. They just made a minor trade with the New York Jets. Curious what Tennessee will do at number 4. In the same breath, Orlovsky, who's one of the top analysts, I believe, in the game right now, isn't very high on Fernando Mendoza as he's watching through the game film. Now, he's only a little ways through the film, but that's interesting. Are the Raiders going to take him at number 1 or potentially make a move? There's some intrigue around the draft and the combine this week.
Glad to hear you say that. We're going to have to scoot right away, but Cam Ward didn't throw last year, just like Mendoza isn't this year at the combine. Scale of 1 to 10. Yeah, you got 30 seconds. Cam Ward's rookie year. Where are you putting him?
Yeah, it was a good rookie year. I think despite the record, there's a lot of optimism around Cam Ward, and we'll see with the new offensive coordinator if he can now take it to the next level.
Fantastic job, Rimouski. Always good to see your voice. Keep in touch. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the sports.
Let's do it again soon.
Darren Moose DuPont by viewer demand joining us. Don't go anywhere, Moose. From World Headquarters in Toronto. We're brought to you in part by Vegas.com. Save 50% or more on the best Vegas shows this week, like Piano Man, a tribute show to Elton John and Billy Joel. Also, Zombie Burlesque and The Vegas Show. Get your tickets today at Vegas.com. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. We're broadcasting across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And as you all know, where Moose's big fans are, Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Overtime on the RP Show is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. With state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, it's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. Check them out at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Here's your picks. There are only 4 games in the NHL tonight. Buffalo at Florida. I'm going to take the Sabres. They're rolling coming out of the post-Olympic break. Panthers just played last night, and I don't think they'll pull it off again. Big win over the Leafs last night, 5-1. Vegas at Washington. Got to go with the Golden Knights, of course. Call me a homer. You wouldn't be the first. Minnesota at Utah. Definitely a wild victory. And the Winnipeg Jets are at Anaheim. Connor Hellebuck makes his return to the Jets crease. Been a whole lot of heat on that kid this week. I don't think deservedly so, but I think he's going to come up big tonight. The Ducks coming off a huge emotional victory over the Edmonton Oilers the other night, and there's something about being fat in your head. I think that's what's going to happen to Anaheim. I got the Jets to win at Winnipeg tonight. What are your picks? I sucked last night, 6 of 12. Speaking of Hellebuck and Team USA, from the Sports Update, USA hockey player Brady Tkachuk says a White House TikTok video falsely paints him as insulting Canadians. Tkachuk calls the clip clearly fake. He says the audio and lip movement do not match. The video uses fabricated audio that includes a bleeped slur about Canadians. Tkachuk says he would never use that language. He also denies shouting, "Close the northern border," during Team USA's phone call with President Donald Trump after Sunday's Olympic gold medal win over Canada. I'll say, you talk about, there are good people in the world, believe it or not. And I've referenced a few times on the show today that I was with. I talked to a lot of the Leafs media last night. Those are my friends, have been for decades. And they're like, poor Brady. He's a good kid. This is Toronto Maple Leaf media looking at what Brady Tkachuk, the captain of the Ottawa Senators, has been putting up with ever since the USA won the gold medal in the Olympics. They're like, poor Brady, he doesn't deserve this. I just thought, ain't that something? Again, humanity, let's have it. We were talking here at the rink last night about Tampa Bay Lightning coach John Cooper missing games this week because of the passing of his father. Panthers fans offering condolences. And make no mistake, they hate Coop. Panthers fans do. But they paused the Battle of Florida hate to offer condolences, and I love that. I love that. I opened this show today talking about some friends of mine both of whom have been on this show. Let's put it that way, just going after each other's throat on Twitter today, and it just turned my stomach. I just don't like it. It's like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? But I can't control it. So 2 hours of fun about to end till we do it again on Monday. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, great week of shows, RP and Corey. Appreciate the company on the highway. We appreciate you, BW. And don't forget Joe, 747 Gunnis. He's our business manager who does all the sales, puts all the splashy graphics together and everything. Joe does a great job. Brent in the Bridge City writes in, he says, enjoyed the great show to end another week. Thanks, Rod. Wishing you and the Rod Squad a wonderful weekend. God bless everyone. Stay well. And he does a heart emoji. How about that? From the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. Darren writes in. He's watching in Melfort where they do the Melfort Shuffle. He says, not sports related, but ring those phones this weekend in Saskatchewan. If you know, you know. Party in St. John's, Newfoundland for the Goose Shoes. Last Briar, too. That would be a blast. Have a great weekend. It's interesting that, I don't know, I used to think for a long, long time that 49th parallel was just a virtual line, which it really is, the border between the two countries. And just from a pure sports perspective, it might as well be the Berlin Wall. I'm talking about the National Men's Curling Championship getting going tonight. Is what Brent in Saskatoon's talking about. Just what they care about in Canada and what they care about in America are so unbelievably opposed. Somehow or another, we're able to thread it together here every day for 2 hours and hold an audience. I don't get it either, but it is fun. Also today we got Blue Jays, Rays, Friday spring training baseball. I tell you what, though. It's going to help me lining up the guests for next week. The poll results helped me out a lot because I didn't know. I said, what are you into the most? That's the poll question today. What's your top sports focus? And they said hockey. Hockey's the top overwhelmingly. 72% the last I saw, followed by, not closely followed by baseball. They're at 8%. Football a little behind that. Mark in Melfort writes in, he says, enjoy the weekend in Florida, Rod. Oh, believe me, I will. We have National Hockey League hockey tonight to enjoy. Buffalo Sabres in town. I got friends here from New York. Be showing them around town. Killers in town. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, back to reality and snow shoveling. Have a great weekend, y'all. You too, Tony. Go Texans. Don't throw your back out shoveling that snow, man. I'll be thinking of you. I appreciate you checking in here for a couple of hours here today. Thank you. Jason in Red Deer says, great show as always. Brian from Edmonton says, more moose, more moose, more moose. We do what we can. Take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, because I can guarantee you if you don't, nobody will. Thank you all, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Thanks for watching across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and, of course, Game Plus TV. And give us a follow over the weekend because we're very active on our social media channels throughout the weekend. Facebook, The Rod Pedersen Show. Instagram, The Rod Pedersen Show. Twitter as well. Engage with us, and we appreciate you very much for doing that. And, again, we'll do it Monday, noon Eastern and 9 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus and Silver State Sports Entertainment Network.
That